Business ownership has never been hotter, but how do you do it? That's where I come in. Allow me to guide you on your journey. Welcome to Ion Franchise. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of Ion Franchising. I'm your host, Lance Gralick. You know, as a franchise broker, people ask me all the time, do I follow my passion? Do I just look at trades like home service brands that are completely recession proof that I know nothing about? Well, today we're fortunate in that here is a brand that a lot of people are passionate about: beer. So Rich Moyer is the founder and CEO of Hoppin, and he's going to tell you what is keeping him hopping and the brand hopping these days with Hoppin Brands. So welcome to the show, Rich.
Thanks for having me.
It is awesome to have you here. So let's talk beer. Let's start with, what is Hoppin and when did you start it? What was your inspiration? All that good stuff.
Yeah, Hoppin is a self-serve, high-tech self-serve beer, wine, and cocktail tap room or bar. So it's basically all tech-based. We do have full cocktail bars at most of our locations, but 60 plus self-serve taps that serve beer, wine, and cocktails in states that are legal to serve cocktails. But the inspiration came from a friend of mine at the time, saw the technology in a different state. I was selling my first company, and he said, "You want to invest in a bar?" And I quickly hung up the phone and said, "Absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with a bar." He sent me a video of the technology, and that piqued my interest, right? That eliminated 95% of my concerns when it comes to owning a bar, which is food, waste, having a full restaurant and back of house kitchen staff, and just the ability to see everything from my phone or from a computer on what's going on, and every tenth of an ounce being accounted for on somebody's credit card or my employees' cards. So the ability to see everything with the technology, I was very intrigued. And I said, all right, let's learn more. Spoke with the tech company, ended up opening our first location in 2017 here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it was just a rapid success the first year. And over the first 2 years, a lot of people asked about franchising and the brand and how they can open up in their city. And that's where I started to take the next step to looking into franchising in 2018, 2019.
Love it. Yeah, it's great when anybody talks about a bar and tech. People listening are like, okay, tell me more. There's tech in a bar and you have minimal employees. This isn't where I started in the 80s with TGI Fridays, where you have staff every 3 inches. I mean, this is an amazingly low employee count type scenario, high tech, no food that you're controlling. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, the employee count. So I came from the construction industry. I had 50 plus employees and 200 plus contractors that I had to deal with on a daily basis, not including the 20, 30, 40 clients that were calling me every morning at 5 a.m. So I realized that if I was going to get into another business that had employees, I wanted to minimize that headache. And we have 8 to 12 employees per location, very minimal staff, usually 2 to 3 full-time, the rest are part-time. We partner with local food operators, whether it's a food truck or a neighboring restaurant, to handle all of our food. So we do have food, we just don't handle it in-house, and we maximize our space and our footprint for the fun part, right? The good vibes and people drinking and having fun.
Yeah, so people arrange either with you or someone else, depending on what food truck you might have, or they could bring in their own food. Let's say they have a birthday party and want to bring 20 people in. They could bring their own food too, right?
Yeah, we're real flexible. Corporate events, we do a ton of corporate parties, especially during the holidays. So they can cater in with their own caterer or our preferred vendor or our food truck that we might have on site or our neighboring restaurant that we partner with. So that is very flexible, and it actually gets us a lot of corporate events because they love the flexibility to have the space and utilize it as they wish and partner with a food catering company that they love.
Yeah. So what's the square footage of these places?
Anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 square feet. One of our locations that's opening up in June or July will actually have duck pin bowling. So that one's right around 5,000 square feet, and it has full, 60 plus taps, a full cocktail bar, and then it has 4 duck pin bowling lanes. So it just depends.
Did you say duck pin bowling?
Yeah, duck pin bowling. So the lanes are shorter, the balls are 3.5 pounds, and the lanes are about 20, 25 feet. and it's just something fun. Imagine skee ball but bowling. The
Yeah.
pins are on the string. The maintenance on it is really minimal, and staffing wise, you really don't need any additional staff. So the ability to have that for corporate events, especially in communities that are more family friendly, you have the ability to have kids in there, and it adds a great revenue stream.
Yeah. No, I've definitely done it. I don't know that I knew the name of it. I just called it some sort of bar bowling, so it was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Um, so let's talk about the cost. So far in your item 19, or I'm sorry, in your item 7 in your FDD, your disclosure document for those playing along at home, franchise brands disclose what things actually cost, not projections, but the history. So far with a couple of locations, obviously, if you take over an existing sort of restaurant or bar, the costs will be lower. You were in the contracting business. You of all people are a master at that. But what do these things typically cost all in to get open?
yeah. Pre-pandemic, when we opened up our locations, they were anywhere from 8 to 1.2. Now, with just the cost and inflation of everything, our item 7 is going to be updated for 2024 to be a million to like 1.8, and that 1.8 is typically a cold dark shell where the landlord's giving you 600,000-700,000 in TIA and tenant improvement allowance. So you
Yeah,
end up falling back around that 1.2, 1.3 range anyway.
yeah.
So yeah, we're a million to $1.8 million in upfront, and that includes your initial franchise fee to opening your doors and training and everything.
Yeah. And an additional footnote for anybody listening, the TIA, or, it's called different things in different regions, but tenant improvement allowance is money that the landlord will give you to improve essentially their space. Because if you're leasing a space like most people in America are, it's the landlord's space that you're going to hand back, 100 years from now or whenever you're done with it, if you're ever done with it. So it's wonderful to get $600,000 from the landlord to improve the space. Results may vary, so but that's a wonderful goal. So right now you have 3 open, correct? You have 2 corporate and 1 franchise?
Yep, 3 open locations. Yeah, 2 corporate and 1 franchise.
And what do you have? And the franchise, talk a little bit about this franchisee. In any brand, it's tough being the first franchisee. So tell me a little bit about you launching the franchise system and how you actually got into franchise.
Yeah, obviously, like I said, we had so many people come in and say, "Hey, how do we bring this to our city? We love the brand, love the name, love everything you guys are doing with the culture and the design." So that piqued the interest, right? And it's not the cheapest thing that you can just continue to grow corporately, and have the funds to do that. So the franchising aspect came in 2018, 2019, and then I started the process with an attorney to actually look into the FDD and what those steps took. And 2020 came, the pandemic hit, so we put that on hold just to keep our head above water and make sure our staff was taken care of and keep our team. And then as we got past 2021, 2022, I rolled that back up with my attorney, and we finalized our documents in August of 2022, and we started our website and all that August, September of 2022. So yeah, the franchising piece came from mostly clients, and then the first franchisee lives in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and he came to visit Penn House, which is another location we have, and he loved it, loved the idea. So he reached out to our tech company and was like, "Hey, I want to open one of these. Who can I speak with?" And he's like, "Well, you can speak with Rich. He's awesome to speak with, and he'll help you out anyway." And when we met, he was a school teacher retiring, him and his wife, and he said, "I don't know anything." I said, "Well, I'm in the process of finalizing my FDD. If you want the franchise, it'd just be a few more months." And he went home, talked to his wife. The next day he called, he said, "We're in." So it's been cool to have it in our backyard. Definitely, ups and downs with the first one. Just there's so much we've learned on our end, so much he's learned on his end. And it's a lot of fun, but we needed that first one to be close so we can have it in our backyard and get
Yeah.
the thing needed.
That is the ideal scenario, so you can really absolutely support him. So in that process, did you have a lot of meals and conversations with he and his wife? Because we know the women are the decision makers.
Yeah, right. Not a ton. I think he's uh, very quick to make decisions, which I enjoyed. I think he was going to do it either way, and then just to be able to have the support of a brand and the expertise of what we've gone through over the years prior, 5 years prior to that,
Yeah.
has been super helpful. So the decisions, I mean, we definitely met, I'd say 3 or 4 times, and he met with my team and my management team. So a few meetings, but I would say a lot less than maybe other franchisors for their first
Yeah.
franchise.
Well, and obviously he had a chance to really experience it on a regular basis. He was a customer. So talk a little bit, we talked about some of the huge benefits. You get in an industry or a business that people are super passionate about, like he and his wife were. You have a minimal employee count and you have high margins in this business. So talk a little bit about that because, most people know in the bar business, liquor, beer, wine, the margins are fantastic. It's the food that the margins are very skinny. So
Yep.
talk a little bit about that, gross profit, whatever it is you disclose on that.
Yeah, we're gross profit 78 to 82%, which is phenomenal. It's a volume game though, right? You got to get to a certain point, and once you cover your expenses, once you cover your nut, the bottom line, there's your expenses don't change. So I always say once you cover your nut, you're typically 70-ish% to the bottom line. It's just how do you have enough volume to get to the point of covering your
Yeah,
nut. But gross margins are around 80% on average, which is great. It's just
yeah,
a volume game, making sure you're in the right city, the right town, the right area, and next
yeah.
to the other bars and restaurants.
Yeah. Now it's not a small investment, but obviously there's financing out there for tenant improvement stuff and contractor stuff and SBA loans. Are you on the SBA registry yet?
Yep. Yeah, we're on the SBA registry. Our first franchisee used SBA. Our Fort Worth, Texas group is using the SBA loan. We work with Fran Fund as well, who they understand the franchising world and they use SBA.
Fabulous.
We are.
Yeah, and franchising likes brick and mortar. They understand that better. Assets going in, construction costs. Everybody comes with a certain amount of working capital, or the loans can provide that. So let's talk a little bit about the money part. We talked about gross profit, and we know that is huge. This isn't like any other franchise that I know where the margins are that high. Obviously, there's a little bit more of an investment, but talk about, in your item 19 in the FTD, your like first year average sales were huge.
Yeah, first year average right around 1.4, and actually our Greenville, South Carolina location was a lot less than what we projected. Just the demographic and the territory we picked was a developing area, so it still has a couple more years to fully develop around it. So we've learned a lot in that location. But average first year sales of 1.4 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Our first year was 1.8, and so the numbers make a lot of sense at that
Yeah.
number.
Yeah, especially with those margins. Talk now, franchisees. So, how did you get? Obviously, I know you got first franchisees. How did you get these other franchisees? Because now you're branching out of North Carolina and South Carolina. Talk about that, how you got them, and again, talk a little bit about the process that you're going through now.
Yeah. So our Fort Worth group, they actually lived in Charlotte and
Ah,
heard that we were franchising. And that when they moved out to Fort Worth, before they left, they said, "Hey, we're interested," and it worked out. They're a motivated couple. They have 2 kids now, and that's been a really fun process doing our first one out there. It'll open up in June or July this year. They're about to start construction. So they knew the brand, they understood it. They met with me, obviously believed in me as the founder, being an early adapter to what we're doing. Our group in Dallas, they have 3 locations. They signed off for 3 locations.
they signed for 3. You're multi-unit already.
We have 2 multi-unit, 3 in Nashville and 3 in Dallas, Texas. So yeah, that's
Fantastic.
our goal moving forward. That group in Dallas was organically, they saw us on one of our social media ads. And then the group in Nashville, same thing. It's a husband wife in Nashville, and they saw us online and just kind of worked out that had a couple conversations. And again, they believed in the brand, believed in my story, believed in me as a founder and our team organically. And I think most of these early adapter franchisees that we have love the fact that we handle all the digital marketing and we didn't put that on their plate. Their focus is definitely to focus on the experience and the culture and the leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's great. You already are getting leads for franchisees, and obviously you've already gotten franchisees from those social media leads, which leads me to the obvious from a marketing standpoint. Clearly, there's a lot that you can do to drive customers. For those that are watching the video portion of this, as opposed to the audio. You'll see a beautiful background. Which location are you at right now?
This is Greenville. This is just a cover
Shh,
for
don't tell anybody
yeah.
that. It looks
I'm
like you're
actually at another.
there.
I'm at another location of ours, Pin House, which is just a different decor. So I figured I'd throw this one up so it actually shows the brand.
So the picture in your background looks absolutely fantastic. Obviously, on social media, it's going to show really well and get customers, your clientele, excited about visiting these locations. So, what is the launch process that you're planning as you're opening Fort Worth or Nashville and these areas outside of your core market?
Yeah, so we 60-day launch process. Honestly, we really only need, because of the brand, right? What you just said, it's cool, it's different. Usually we need 2 to 4 weeks to fully just crush a grand opening weekend.
Yeah.
Just the way that we structure it. But moving forward, we have a fractional CMO and we're doing 60 days out. And that starts with a whole bunch of local things that the franchisee can do, and then us doing some digital stuff, website stuff, and start to collect contacts and um, just bigger, long-term things.
Yeah.
Pre-grand opening, we have 2 months worth of basically marketing the space and the construction. People love to see construction process, so that's the really cool portion of that. And then our team will have the grand opening week. We'll do a media night on Wednesday, a friends and or media night on Thursday, friends and family night on Friday, and then Saturday would be the grand opening for the public. And just because of what this is and what, it's something fun. It's a restaurant bar. People, the news outlets, the influencers, everybody locally is already jumping on it. So we
Yeah.
don't have to do a lot. It's more on the front end, those first 60 days of how do we create our loyal customers? How do we get them to
Yeah.
be brought into what we're doing? Provide their cell phone numbers or emails, their socials, that we can get them to follow us and be able to reach them via a text when we have stuff going on.
Yeah, it's so true what you're saying. This is excuse me. This is a sexy business. And the sexy businesses, the fun businesses are the ones that the media loves and people really pay attention to. Like I said earlier, social media, this thing is going to be hot because people are going to go, "What's that? I've never seen a self-serve bar concept like that," and jump all over it. I absolutely love it. And there are a lot of people that are budget conscious these days that don't want to be sort of forced or guilted into getting some overpriced, lousy food that a lot of restaurants have these days. So bring
Yeah,
your own, eat from the food truck, cater in food. The concept, I think, is absolutely, absolutely fantastic. So
drink half a beer instead of a full one.
that's right. There you go. So, well, that's what I was going to ask you. So the cards, describe a little bit of the technology and the process for when you first time customer, what happens when you walk in the door?
Yeah, when you walk in the door, it's all about experience, right? So to our consumer, we're an experience company. You can go get a drink, you can go get a McUltra at any bar around the city. What drives you to come into Hoppin? And outside of the self-service, the experience and our vibe and our culture. When you walk in the door, we're joking around, we're having fun, ask you if you've been here before, provide you with just an experience when you walk in, which is way different than any just regular bar that you're going to go to. So when you walk in, our team will have fun. We'll joke around with you, explain the process. We'll ask you for your debit or credit card and your ID. Make sure you're legal age. Swipe your credit card or debit card, attach a wristband to it, an RFID wristband. That wristband is then handed to you with your ID and your credit card. At that point, that wristband is your tab. So you have the ability to swipe that wristband on 60 plus taps and for as little as a tenth of an ounce all the way to a full glass. And at the end of the night, you can drop it into a fast checkout bucket, or you can check out with our team.
Yeah. I love it. So you literally can have a tenth of an ounce just to sample things.
Yeah, the system calculates every tenth of an ounce, and that's what it'll charge. So as actually our average pour, it's always a fun stat to look at each year or each quarter, is our average pour has been right around 5.7 to 6.2 ounces.
I love it. And what size is the glass?
16.
16. Good.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about purchasing. So how do you handle and what is your long-term plan? Do you work with some, sort of favorite breweries, if you will, or their regional specials? What's the plan long term as you grow regionally and nationwide?
Yeah, long term, we'll create some bigger partnerships. I think the coolest thing we do is rotating, ever rotating. So if Tap 15 is a lager, it's always going to be a lager, but it's going to be from a different brewery or a different brand. every single week that you come in, or potentially every other day,
I
depending on
love
how
that.
kicking kegs. So that piece is great, and we will leave that ordering process and product process in the hands of our franchisees, right? Because they're going to know what sells best locally, what breweries locally they can partner with. So to be regional, local, and worldwide, and beers, wines, and cocktails from all over. I think the biggest thing for us is giving our franchisees that freedom to do that, but we provide the systems, the pricing structures, and everything that they need to simplify it for them. And then
Yeah.
we have our top sellers that we pull every quarter or every month, and we say these are the things that are selling best,
Yeah.
that you would want to have in your rotation.
So if they wanted out of 60 taps to keep 5 the exact same, because there's some people that are always looking for certain things, they
Yeah,
can do that.
yeah. We have a few staple taps, the ones that are not going anywhere.
Yeah. Good. No, that's fantastic. So talk a little bit about training now. Once people get through the selection process, what is the training like, and what is the required training? I mean, do you have to have a full-time manager or owner? Someone obviously has to run this place. So what is the training requirement?
Yeah, we structure this opportunity as more of a investor manager and almost semi-absentee, but I don't like that word because I feel like it's just a word that doesn't go well in franchising, because most people say that it is semi-absentee, but it's not.
Yeah.
But we call it an investor manager. So, owner manager, where the owner doesn't have to be there full time. They don't have to be an owner operator, and the manager themselves are working 40-ish, 50 hours a week. But our training process is right around 10 days here at our corporate location, and we go through everything and anything you can think of. But the operation piece is very simple. It's more of the culture that we're having to instill into our franchisees, and the leadership that is the most important. And once they spend 10 days here, they go back usually 45 days before they open. We'll send one or two of our team, our management team, to train the staff. So owners and their manager will come out for corporate training here, and then our one or two of our individuals will go out for their grand opening week, train their staff with the owner and the manager, and then we'll go through the grand opening weekend as support. So we have it on both ends to make sure that our franchisee understands everything on the front end, and then we're there to support them through their one of their busiest weeks.
Yeah. Sounds fantastic. So we talked about purchasing, we talked about training, we already talked about your great marketing. When it comes to the overall staff and selecting staff, a lot of people talk about how it's hard to find people these days. Who are the ideal staff for a Hoppin location? Are
Yeah.
they college kids? Are they retired people? Are they give me an example of who you're looking for? Because I can't imagine it's difficult to find people for a fun job like this.
It's definitely easy to find because they make great tips. I mean, on average, if we pay our employees $3 an hour, our part-time employees, they're making $25 to $60 an hour in tips. So the ability to find good people is easy. Your part-time individuals are typically in college, or they have a full-time job and they just enjoy the vibes, they enjoy the culture, and they want to come hang out and work a shift a week. Some of our employees only work a shift a month, and it's just because they've worked with us in the beginning and they don't want to ever leave. They want to come back and work every once in a while. So
Right.
part-time, very easy to find. Your assistant manager and managers I mean, everybody we hire is strictly based off personality and how they are. And we will interview them completely different than your typical interview. I mean, we'll ask them if they enjoy hosting events and parties at their house. Are they the ultimate host as Hoppin is, or are
Yeah.
they more introverted and they don't really like to talk and have fun? And the ability to interview and hire off of personality instead of hiring off any experience is what I'd say separates our team. So it's very easy to find individuals that want to work. It's just finding the right individuals that are going to come in there and create a good vibe.
I always say that you cannot train personality. You either have it or you don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is fantastic. You have given a tremendous amount of information. I wanted to ask you, where do you want to grow next in a perfect world? Texas is amazing, and middle of the country essentially, great state, super popular, growing like crazy. So that's phenomenal that you're planting a flag there. And I am sure the minute you open in that, in Fort Worth, Dallas, wherever, there are going to be more people knocking down your door, and you're going to start filling up Texas. But besides Nashville, where else is an ideal place for you to be going next?
Yeah, our immediate focus is the top 20 fastest growing cities in the US, right? That's where our demographics typically moving to. So a lot of that is in Texas, a lot of that is in Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina. Florida is another great state for
Yeah.
that. But we're focused on the biggest cities that we don't really have to get registered in. We are registered in Illinois, Virginia, and Maryland, but outside of that, we're not registered in California or New York. We'll jump those hurdles as we continue to grow. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely the fastest growing cities in the US and some of the bigger cities that we don't need registration for.
And for those listening, franchise registration states are more cumbersome than states that don't require registration. It has nothing to do with you, the prospective franchisee, but it does have everything to do with the franchisors putting a lot of paperwork and paying a lot of money to get set up to sell franchises in certain states. My home state of New York and California, as an example, are two very large, cumbersome registration states. So you have given me an awesome, and the audience, an amazing amount of information. I love Hoppin brands. I can't wait to visit a Hoppin location. Final thoughts for today, final words of wisdom, Rich, for the audience.
Yeah, obviously, if you're looking to franchise, my always on every podcast, my door is always open, or my email or my phone is always open. If you just wanted to ask questions about franchising, whether if it's interest in Hoppin or another brand or just franchising in general. So I always like to be a mentor and be available first that way, and that's just how I lead my teams and I'm there for my franchisees. But franchising it's a fun world. It gives you the ability to have the support and with the right company, the right brand, the support that you need to grow if you're looking to start your first company or add to your portfolio. I think Hoppin is a great brand for adding to your portfolio if you already own franchises and you're looking for something that is a little bit less cumbersome with staffing compared to your typical restaurant.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. You have been amazing, and I look forward to seeing you and having a beer someday very soon.
I can't wait. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
If you're ready to talk about franchise opportunities, hit the link below to schedule a call. My services are free, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.